now to answer your question, Deputy District Director is the second person in line in charge when it comes to representing the Latino community.
Okay.
When it has to do with legal, when it has to do with civil rights, when it has to do with just rights being violated, and at the same time to make sure that we're getting out, motivating people to get out there and vote, making sure that they own their community, making sure that they're active and responsible for their community.
So the reason why I'm asking is because in NWC we don't have a district anybody. We don't, and it's okay because we understand how we work. But so you're the district deputy over what area?
Over the Central Texas area, which covers 14 counties.
Okay, and so I'll say for me, I'm the Central Texas area coordinator, and as my job is, if there's an issue in Central Texas area and there's no branch, it belongs to.
It falls under you.
Yes, I get to say hi. How are you?
Yes,
and what are you doing?
And yes, ma'am. And with that said, even though they might not have a LULAC council in one of the small towns, that doesn't mean that they don't have representation.
Yeah,
that's why it falls under the district.
Okay. All right. I like that. Okay. And LULAC, I'm going to ask the question. Anybody can join LULAC?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Anybody in good standing in this community, anybody who means well, and anybody that wants to learn more and be grounded in what they're doing and why they're doing it, and anybody serving the Latino community, working with the Latino community, surrounded by the Latino community, you can't go anywhere.
That's true.
Without being surrounded.
That's true. That's true. That's true. That's true. And I like it because we're one.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
I'll always say that over and over again. The important thing is that even though we have our organizations are slightly different, only in the way they're ran, not in what they do. They're the same in what they do.
Remains the same.
Yes, but we just do it. Like she said, district deputy. Well, we call that an area coordinator. You know what I mean? So me and her do the same thing, except for we just have two different names in doing it, and which still makes us align together. We just have two different names to call the same person. And now, like I said, the important thing is to stand up together. And I'm saying so much because our community, we have 57 nationalities, oh gosh, and over 100 different languages. So we need to learn to break some of that and become one. And realize that, yeah, okay, fine, you're from here. We could with that. We need you to speak up too, And so we all sit at the table and we make the community better. That's the only way to make the community better is that we sit down and leave your title at the door, outside the door. So when you walk in the door, you're just you, because we accidentally sometimes our title enters the door before we do.
Oh.
And when it comes in before you, a problem begins. So we need to leave those at the door and sit down and talk and strategize. That's the only way we're going to make our community better. If we're not going to do that, then we need to all go home and just, I'm going to say it too, just shut up. Just be quiet. Just don't say anything, and it'll make everything all better. Anna, what are some of the other things LULAC does in our community that a lot of us don't? Oh, wait, one thing I need to ask you about, because you in the paper a whole bunch about the candidates forum.
I plead the fifth. No, I can't.
She thinks she's gonna do what? But the candidates forum, and it was simply the water district. What was your view on that? Not as Anna, because Anna didn't do it, but the district deputy was up front. You were out there up front. So how did that make you? What did that make you think when, first of all, they all were coming and all of a sudden, oops, I can't come. Oh my gosh. What was your take on that?
My take on that was that as soon as we find out that the water district hadn't voted, and now we've been corrected, we were under the assumption it was 28 years.
Right.
And now we're being told it was 24. Well, that's 24 too many.
Right.
And therefore, again, we are a nonpartisan organization. We want to make sure that the citizens get the information that they need to make sure that they make an educated vote, not because that person lives next door to me, not because I knew him from high school, but because we need to know what their platform is. And when that comes up, the question always came up, you know, to where people were saying that it was controversial. As far as LULAC is involved, right, we don't see voting as controversial. We see that as a right that was fought for, that there was many court hearings that LULAC as well as NAACP attended in order for us to have that right. So when it comes to voting and something as simple as water, everybody uses it, everybody needs it. And at times you can distinguish third world countries from our water. And therefore you get it, you pay the price for it. There is nothing that should keep us from having that information.
Right.
So as far as was LULAC at NCF 4297 a antagonistic? We're not. We just wanted to get the word out so that people can get out and vote. Right now, our statistics are super low. People are registered to vote, which the statistics went up a little higher than, let's say, 3 years ago. And because we're a military community, some people are under the pretense or misguided information that they cannot vote. If they live in Killeen, they rent an apartment, they have a roommate, they have an address.
Right.
As long as you have an address, you can register to vote.
That's it. And
we are a military community, and some people have homes of records out of state, of course, and they fail to vote because they're not going to be here next year. They're not going to be here in 3 years, so it's not going to affect them. But true and in fact, it affects them.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't affect them, it affects their fellow soldiers, their fellow comrades, because at some time or another, they might decide to retire here. Yeah. And therefore, what you planted, now you know, the harvest is going to be there, which means if you didn't vote back then, people didn't vote, didn't interact, and by the time you see a problem, it didn't start today.
Right. Yeah.
So if we keep up with our community, we keep up with what we're doing, and we're voting, and we're being responsible anywhere the military sends you.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, and actually, I was glad that you tackled the water issue, because what people don't know is that in 1984, when the water district the contract was signed using only the areas that were already existing. So I want you to hear, in 84, whatever communities were existing then were the ones written into that contract. So if you don't live in that area that existed then, you can't vote. Yet, they can sell your water. So Harker Heights, the whole city of Harker Heights can't vote, but they can sell part of their water. So we need to understand that water now is a big business. Travis County needs water badly. So this WCID we have can actually help Travis County by selling some of our water. And when they sell our water, we can't vote on it. They can simply say, how much water, how much of this do you need? Okay, not a problem. They can negotiate it the whole 9 yards, and some of your water is going to Travis County, but nobody's going to give us any. So we need to know the importance of what you were doing and why you were doing it. And you were doing it to knock on our head and say, hey, do you really hear me? Do you really understand where I was going with that? You know, and I was talking to certain people about it. I'm like, this is why it has to be done. They go, oh, wait, they can sell our water? Yeah. Well, we got to vote on it? No. Our city council got to vote on it? No. These people you put on this committee vote on it. You know, so I was glad you did that and raised that awareness. Also, I'm going to answer another question that I got asked 2 million times last week. I swear it was more, about the issue with Starbucks. I was asked my lovely viewpoint on it, and I'll say it like this. Number one, what happened at Starbucks didn't only happen at that Starbucks. What happened at Starbucks all around, different things have happened. And I'll put it this way. If you're going to complain about it, or if you have an issue with it, and I'll tell you about me personally was I a Starbucks lover? I'm not. But they have black iced tea that I like. So occasionally I would go there. But when this happened, my take was I'm not going back anymore. Because I'm tired of, and I'm not going to say the word minorities because we're not, but I'm going to say the term of us as a people of color. Our problem is we always will accept an apology and go back. You know, we'll accept an apology in a minute and say, okay, then I'm going back now because they said they sorry. No, it shouldn't have ever happened in the beginning. And I think when we're in the times now where people are comfortable saying what they want to say. So when they're comfortable by saying what they want to say, we need to pay attention. We need to listen. We need to learn about learning. And then we need to take a stance. A lot of times things happen to groups of people that are black and brown is what a lot of times we'll say. And it's because we accept we accept apologies. And you know we do, Anna. we'll accept an apology and go back. Or we'll do this and go back. Well, rather than us talking so much, because we talk too darn much, we need to take action and just, you know, if I want to hurt you, talking about you doesn't hurt your business. But if we don't go, that wakes you up. And you suddenly realize that, oh, wait a minute, I can't do this because of what's going on. So my take on what's happening, it wasn't the first time it happened, but I don't accept apologies like that from anybody in any business. So that's my take, because like I said, I got asked what I think, and that is my view. And yes, my views are kind of strong sometimes, but they're mine. Not the station's, they're Phyllis's views. So, you know, my thing on the Starbucks thing is plain and simple. Not the first one that ever happened to. Something happened to the one in Killeen. And I was there when that happened, so no one had to tell me. I was standing there, and I got offended. And the lady was, and I'll tell you what it is. I was in line. There was two women in front of me. One was my coworker. And this lady was behind me. She was like, you know, and she taps me on the shoulder and said, you know, with our new president, they're going to have to go back home. First, she threw me, because for a second, I was focused on what I was trying to order. I wasn't focused on what she said. Then I realized what she said when I realized my coworker and another lady, to her, were Hispanic. You know, that's when I said into my head, I'm like, hold on, wait a minute. You know, so I'm looking at the manager, and I'm looking at her, listening to her. I'm looking at the manager, and I asked him, I say, are you going to, like, let this keep going? He said, well, nobody's being belligerent. I said, but she's been offensive. He said, but she's not, he said, she's not offending you. Yeah, she really is offending me. And, you know, and the lady kept her a little talk. And so I was like, I said, but the lady in front of me, she said, she's from El Salvador. And the lady looked at me, she goes, she's where? The lady in front of me is from El Salvador. She said, how you know? She's my coworker. I said, so, you know, I said, but this conversation doesn't belong here. And I told her, I said, it doesn't belong in here, you know, but the manager didn't stop it. So I ordered my iced tea and walked out. If you hear what I'm saying, I didn't pay for it. I didn't take it, but I did order it because it was me. I needed to disrupt somebody's day. So I ordered my tea, and so did the two women in front of me, ordered their stuff. As soon as our name was called, we just simply walked out the door. Were they happy? No. But what I'm saying is, things that happen at different stores has happened at a lot of them. So we need to take our stance and do what we need to do. So however you take your stance, you need to take it and do what you got to do. But we need to stop being satisfied with, I'm sorry. Because to me, I can get a 2-year-old to say, I'm sorry. And he has no clue what he's saying I'm sorry for. But I can get a 2-year-old to say, I'm sorry. I can get a kid to say, don't kick him no more and say you're sorry. I'm sorry. Well, they're not saying they're sorry because they are sorry, because they're not, because they don't have that in them yet. They're only saying it because you said so. You know, so that's my stance on the Starbucks issue. I said I would mention it today. And remember, that's Phyllis's stance. And my stance sometimes are pretty strong. And that's because I am who I am, and that's it. No, I'm not gonna ask Anna what she thinks. I'm nice enough not to do that because I don't know what she's gonna tell me. But well, wait a minute, hold up. If you don't mind answering it, what did you think?
I'm gonna answer you as a person, not as my title.
Thank you.
I'm gonna tell you that I would pick up the phone and call the Department of Justice.
Right.
I would definitely call my LULAC people and our LULAC legal advisor, and we'll handle it there.
Yes.
Not do a show out, not act out, not kick the trash can, not give him something to put on me. And therefore, the focus would remain on them and their wrongdoing, not me getting caught up in my emotions and no. Yes, that's what I would do. And it sounds like it's a little bit more mellow than than what you would do.
Yeah.
But I believe that when you put things in writing and you forward it and you pass it on to the powers that be, your message is stronger.
Yeah.
And definitely longer effect. And yes, that's me as a Latina.
Yeah.
And I have seen that.
Right.
Stuff going on with the DACA and everybody looking at me because of my skin color.
Yeah.
But we have Koreans, we have everybody from any other nation that has came here on a passport. Passport has expired. Therefore, guess what? You're not an illegal alien. I don't know who came up with that term. You're an undocumented immigrant.
Right. In actuality, you know, they keep throwing up this word immigrant, and the only people who are not immigrants are Native Americans. We're all immigrants because a lot of us came here with no paperwork.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of us arrived.
What happened was
a lot of people came here with no paperwork, either forcibly or however, but only people who aren't immigrants are Native Americans. So when we say that word and keep throwing it around, as people are throwing it around, I usually go back and say, do you realize that we're all immigrants? And people know, really for real, if you look up the term, we're all Native Americans are the only people that are here from here. None of us are. So we're all under that same umbrella. When people talk about it and they don't understand what you're saying, they're repeating what somebody else said. So we need to understand, as you're saying, that we're all immigrants. I'm sorry. And it's not just people from of Hispanic culture that are being deported. You have people here from Africa who are being deported. You have people from a lot of other places that are also being deported. Now, the fixation might be on one, you know, and I'll admit it is. It's the fixation and the visual that everybody get when you hear immigrants is one group of people. But people need to remember, immigrants mean outside of the United States. So that's the many people. So as we say that word, we need to understand what that word actually means. And like I said, remember, Native Americans weren't immigrants. But the rest of us,
we're visitors.
We're all visitors
with a past.
Yeah, you know, we are. But I want to thank everyone for listening to KISS Community Connections 103.1 KISS. And I want you to pay attention to what's around you. I need us to start accidentally reading the paper. And notice I said accidentally. I need you to accidentally read the paper. I need us to accidentally get off our tush and become involved in not everything, but something. I need everybody to first to sit back and think about where they live, what they do, what they see, what they read, and what they know. You need to pick a fight and get in it. You need to pick a fight and you need to get in it. You actually do. I mean, and it's not a fist fight I'm talking about, everybody know, but we all need to pick a fight and get in it. Because you know what? I can't make a change without you. You can't make a change without me. And when we fought before, we've learned the casualties of war. And before we close, I'm going to tell you what happened. It's going to tell my age, but it's okay. When we were called, you know, we've been called many names. But in the 60s, you know, James Brown said, I'm black and I'm proud. And somehow or another we became black, whatever. But that was when we were fighting. And we were fighting, not fist fighting, listen to me again. We were walking, marching, sit-ins. We shut down businesses. But guess what we didn't do? We didn't leave anybody in the back to protect the back. So a lot of our cities, that's when drugs entered in. And people say that government did that. But that's when drugs entered the community because we were over there fighting, but we didn't leave a guard at the home. The guard at home, we didn't leave nobody there to protect those who wasn't going to fight. We didn't. We just left them open. And we came home, we're like, well, my goodness, what happened to you? You know? And what you find out is you happened to them because we didn't leave anybody behind. If you pay attention to the city of Killeen, Harker Heights, and Co., same thing's happening. We're fighting, and the people who left behind, you go back and you go, what happened? And what happened was we didn't leave anybody behind to guard the gate. So along with fighting, we need to leave a gate guard in the back to do some of it. So we need to work on some of those gate guards that's got to guard the people so that we can all progress together. But I want to thank you, Anna, for coming on. And she's been on before, and she'll be on again. And remember, the girls, they all got to come on. If we got to, you know, invent space in this room, they all need to come on, because I love kids coming on the show more than I do adults. Because
I'm a kid. God don't have grandkids.
Because they're more, kids are more freely of what they say. You know, adults, we think and guard what we say. Kids will be like, no, and you're like, well, okay. But I like them coming on, because they have more freely conversation, and they got more spunk in their conversation, whereas we sit and think, okay, how am I gonna answer that? They don't think that they just answer it, you know, which is good a lot of times, that they just answer it. So we need to learn from them sometimes. But like I said, thank you for listening. And my first Friday is going to go back to being my first Friday. I know the last one I used the child abuse awareness, which is most important. So next week you'll find out where my first Friday is going to be. We're going to have some fun and do some fun things again. But as I close, I want you to always remember, you cannot lead a positive life with a negative mind. We'll talk to you next Sunday. Bye now.